The Rex Parade theme for 2024 is The Two Worlds of Lafcadio Hearn, New Orleans and Japan. But who was Lafcadio Hearn, and why should the people of New Orleans care about him nearly 140 years after his departure?
Very bizarre character, half Greek, half Irish. Strange combination, who basically fit in nowhere, had a very good European education, but was basically told by his relatives to get out, and he ended up in Cincinnati.
In Cincinnati, Hearn found himself broke and sleeping on bales of old newspapers at the Cincinnati Enquirer, where he was bitten by the journalism bug and wrote sensationalized pieces about the local underworld, gaining him recognition as a journalist. In 1877, Hearn was sent to New Orleans to produce a series of stories on life in Louisiana, and he instantly fell in love with the city and its people.
And when he'd been in New Orleans for only a matter of months, he wrote a letter to a friend back in Ohio that contains a famous excerpt. The excerpt being, "Times are not good here. The city is crumbling into ashes. It has been buried under a lava flood of taxes and frauds and maladministrations, so that it has become only a study for archaeologists. But it is better to live here in sackcloth and ashes than to own the whole state of Ohio." Lafcadio Hearn, 1877.
During his 10 years in the Crescent City, Hearn wrote 2,000 articles, hundreds of book reviews, a novel based on a destructive hurricane, and countless vignettes on the beauty of New Orleans and its myriad problems.
Lafcadio Hearn did as much as anyone to invent what we consider New Orleans as a cultural phenomenon. This was his baby.
Hearn is also credited with being the first to call the world's attention to New Orleans' culinary culture. He even compiled one of the earliest cookbooks on local food called La Cuisine Creole. Renowned Louisiana chef John Folse, who chairs the Culinary Arts program at Nicholls State University, annually awards a prize known as the Lafcadio Hearn Award.
Because of people like Lafcadio, who really had such a great respect for the cuisine and culture of Louisiana, that today a 4-year culinary college in the state of Louisiana was founded because of the opportunity to preserve forever that cuisine and culture. He's still as important today as he was back then, if not more so.
There's even a Mardi Gras crew named for him. The crew of Lafcadio parades in the traditional mule-drawn style through the streets of the French Quarter every year, honoring as its monarchs culinary icons, throwing soup spoons to onlookers, and satirizing the city's maladministration in Hearn's memory.
He celebrated the local culture like no one else. At the same time, he satirized the dysfunctional aspects.
But Hearn's time in New Orleans came to an end.
He thought that real culture is dying away in the face of modern, which he considered very vulgar, commercial culture. And he went to Japan, and there he found a traditional culture.
Japan is a very different culture. It's very much more disciplined in many respects. It's as though he took all of the things that he had loved in New Orleans and turned them inside out when he got to Japan, and he respected all of the cultural nuances there. The very, very strict society that Japan was, the mannerisms, the formality of Japan. He married a Japanese woman who was the daughter of the samurai and lived there for most of his life. He would have gotten a Pulitzer Prize in Japan, or the equivalent thereof, because his writings and his letters were so important in Japan and became a folk hero. The school children of Japan, read their Winnie the Pooh. Their Winnie the Pooh is Lafcadio Hearn's stories.
Hearn's great-grandson, Bon Koizumi, who is attending the Rex Parade and Ball this year, had this to say about what Lafcadio Hearn might think if he could see New Orleans in 2024.
The Creole music, Creole cuisine, ghost stories, and grave tours that Hearn unearthed in New Orleans more than 150 years ago are still a part of the city's charm today. I think Hearn would hold the people of New Orleans in high regard for carrying on such Creole culture and traditions to this day.
Lafcadio Hearn introduced the people of New Orleans to the world. The Rex organization is proud to reintroduce the people of New Orleans to Lafcadio Hearn.